Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great time eating turkey and having a wonderful holiday. So, for us today, it's going to be a bit different. Now, normally when it comes to Thursdays, we talk about TNA and, of course, Ring of Honor. If there's any other events, such as, of course, Stardom or New Japan or any other else, we try to add it. But, however, this is going to be a bit different. So, there is no Ring of Honor until the following day. However, for TNA, well, if you guys know, TNA have a little traditional match that they have, the Turkey Bowl. So basically, whoever loses this Turkey Bowl match, well, they have the honor and privilege to dress up like a turkey. So basically, it has to be done by the loser. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we move on with the AEW Collision. Now, of course, many of you know this particular show happens normally on a Saturday, but due to possibly the circumstances, I would like to imagine they only did it because A, there's no way for them to compete during, of course, Survivor Series this coming Saturday. So I would like to think so. And then we cap up our episode as usual with some news updates that give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere where wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So let's begin with TNA. Okay, TNA. Now, as you probably know, I wasn't 100% sure if there was going to be a TNA. Most times they show like clips from some of the previous matches when TNA was known as Impact at the time or TNA back in the glory days, that sort of thing. But I wasn't too sure. But they did add it, of course, a dark match, but I never got to see it. It was a three-way for the knockouts division, but that I don't know exactly much of it. But they did added the Turkey Bowl in this match. Now, for those who are not familiarized with the Turkey Bowl, let me explain it. The Turkey Bowl is more of a scramble match where we have about 6 competitors involved. Now, whoever picks up the win is the winner. But, however, whoever is the one ended up losing the match, doesn't matter if it's by submission or pinfall or however it's done, well, you have the privilege to dress up like a turkey for the entire evening. So that's the whole point. So if you lose, well, you dress up like a turkey. Now, here's who they had throughout the entirety. We have Eric Young versus Trey Miguel versus Mance Warner versus the Hometown Man versus Ryan Menneth versus Brian Myers. Now, I know Eric Young has been involved in the Turkey Bowl before. I'm not 100% sure, and I'm going to guess that everybody else. Oh, yeah, and Brian Myers was also involved in the Turkey Bowl. But however, he did dress up like a turkey, I believe, one time. But however, everybody else is new. But the real question is who has the privilege to dress up like a turkey? Well, we weren't sure because I don't think it's because it's unpredictable. But in the end, it was Brian Myers who picked up the win when he applied the roster cut onto Ryan Mennett. And just like that, he had to wear the turkey. But however, there's a little thing here. If you even don't wear the turkey, well, you'll be fined or fired. Well, luckily, his ass was dragged back into the ring and he was knocked unconscious and had to wear the turkey suit. So basically, that's how it is. So he was a turkey. However, he wasn't done dressed up like a turkey. He did actually had another match, but this time, well, he had to deal with Krampus. Yes, folks, you heard that right. Krampus. You know the holiday story. So basically, he had a match against him, but it wasn't much of a bigger match, in case anybody asked. But of course, Ryan Bennett picked up the win by pinfall, but he cheated his way through to do so. However, this was not the last time Ryan Bennett was involved. He was involved in an 8-man tag match, teaming up with First Class, Rich Swann, and AJ Francis, along with Jake Something. But their opponents are none other than the members of the system, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Moose, and they team up with the current X Division champion, Leon Slater. But there was a great moment I did like in the start of this match where Moose and AJ Francis were involved in the match, and they did a little football thing where you get down, like ready to do ready, set, hut, and that's something. And I thought it was a pretty good moment because many of you may know this. These two guys did play football before, and that's why the reason Ed ended up that way. But I wasn't too sure how this was going to play out. But in the end, it was in fact Leon Slater with the Swanton 450 onto Ryan Method, who is still wearing his turkey outfit. Well, he ended up, Leon picked up the win, and once again, Mennett in his turkey suit lost once again. So that's how things happen on the Turkey Bowl. But on the whole Thanksgiving special, they had this. So it wasn't too much of a big. So if you guys are interested in seeing it, go ahead. You can still I don't know if you guys even DVR it or you know ways how to watch it, but yes. So I think that's pretty much it right now with TNA. So let's move on with our next review, and it will be our final one, AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. So now we open up with the Gold League of the Continental Classic. We have Pac versus Mike Bailey. Now remember, we already have 4 matches, 2 from the Blue League, 2 from the Gold League that took place this past Wednesday. Then we continue on with the remaining 2. They'll get the first 2 points because we were still in the opening round. Now, of course, many people would assume that Pac was going to walk out as the winner since he is a much of a brutal, deadly wrestler. But Mike Bailey tried to play a little bit smarter as possible. But unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan for him because you all know how Pac is. He tries to do things very brutally as possible. He used a brutalizer to take out Mike Bailey, but however, Mike Bailey did not tap out or quit. It was a direct decision, and just like that, it was over. But however, Pac refuses to let him go. And just like that, it was over. He gained 3 points in the whole thing. However, during the post match, Kaguchika Okada was watching from the back because apparently it was later revealed this coming week. Next week will be, of course, well, I don't know if it's this Wednesday or next Saturday, but Okada's next opponent is Pac himself. So I'm sure Okada is keeping an eye out. And I have to say he's playing the smarter game. Now, Lex Lanier had a little had tried to have a conversation with Daniel Garcia because it turned out later on in the evening he had to face against his old friend and mentor, Matt Menard. So basically, he likes to consider this as a final confrontation towards him. So we'll see how that rolls. Now, we did see another interview with Renee Paquette talking to the former AEW World Tag Team Champions, Brodito. So it's possible you all know what happened in Full Gear. They lost their tag team belts, But one thing that they both, Brody King and Bandito, can agree on, that they had each other's backs and they made something magical. But of course, Brody King told them, look, we may have lost the belts, but you need to focus now, because he knows very soon Bandito will be in the toughest challenge ever. He has to defend the ROH World Championship this coming soon. So that's what he has to do. So that's going to happen later. Now, we did see, of course, um, Daniel Garcia versus Matt Menard. Now, of course, Matt Menard, they try to fight as much as possible, but Daniel Garcia, he is far too much. He is trying to brutalize him as much as possible to make him break. But there was one thing I did allude that I was explaining something. Now, after that, of course, we did see Daniel Garcia apply the bulldog choke, making, of course, himself bleed out. And of course it was another ref's decision. Just like that, Daniel Garcia just won. However, Mark Briscoe showed up, because apparently, what I failed to mention in the interview, Daniel Garcia has now made a play for the TNT title, and of course, Mark Briscoe paid attention, so he now sees who could be his next opponent. But here's the thing: he's asking him, "Do you want this belt now, or are you gonna wait a while?" So it's like here or now, but we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Ricochet, as you know, he is the inaugural AEW National Champion. So once again, he and his little Tweedledee and Tweedledum decided to gloat about it. Basically, they act like they're the much bigger stars. Now, in the ring, we did see FTR, as you know, celebrating the fact that they regained the AEW World Tag Team titles, along with that idiot Stokely in tow. But however, the next opponents just made their presence known, and these guys have already beaten FTR on certain occasions, and that team is Bang Bang. That's right, the Bang Bang Gang. Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. Now, Juice is willing to say, yes, you guys are the best tag team, but you've already lost to us before. So he tells them that he doesn't give a damn about their reputation. He doesn't give a damn if they're that good. They asking when are that we'll decide when is the next time we'll face for those titles. And that could happen very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it's either by the end of this year or the start of 2026. That probably doesn't matter, but we'll see. Now, our next match we have, of course, is a trios match. We have MXM TV taking on Mansoor, Mason Madden, and Johnny TV taking on the Outrunners, Truth Magnum, and Turbo Floyd, along with Dalton Castle. Now, of course, this match was going to be nothing too important until, of course, Dalton Castle applied the Bangarang onto Mansoor, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. But however, the party was disrupted with the arrival of Ricochet and, of course, and Teo Leona, because apparently Ricochet felt like he was disrespected, that no one is giving him time in the ring since he won the AEW National Championship. So he's basically crying like a little girl about it. And then he decided to pick a fight with everybody, including this guy who was in the ring watching, a very famous music artist, I'm not sure, but yes. So that sort of thing. Now, we did see an interview with the Don Callis family by Lex Lanier. They're very thankful, but you can tell that certain moments between Takeshita, like he's not thankful about how things are going, because Okada, of course, is acting up. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we did see Eddie Kingston taking on Shibata, because, of course, we know that Eddie Kingston's not happy with the results of what happened. But he did defeat Shibata when he applied a DDT, obviously. But he did put out a promo talking about Hook, telling him that he still loves him like a brother, but him joining the Ops, well, there's going to be consequences. So basically, there's that. And I'm sure he's asking for a title shot, but the real question is, when will that happen? We'll see what happens until then. Now, Red Velvet, as you know, she has been paying attention what happened on Full Gear. Basically, now she is reclaiming what was lost to her, and that is the Ring of Honor Women's World Television title. So that match is going to happen in Final Battle real soon. So I can't wait to see it. Our next match, we have Tekla versus Time Mello. So basically, nothing too special about this. But however, of course, Time Mello ended up losing this match when she got stomped by Tekla. And of course, just like that, it was over. And then, of course, we did see the other members of the Triangle of Madness, Sky Blue and Julia Hart, try to give a beat down. Even Jamie Hayter came down to help. And then, of course, Chris Statlander showed up too. Because, of course, the Triangle of Madness, well, they play by a new set of rules. Now, our next match, which is our main event, is part of the Continental Classic Blue League. We have Konosuke Takeshita versus Roderick Strong. I have to say, it was a pretty good match. I mean, Roderick Strong did put up a hell of a fight, but it was way too much. So he ended up losing to Takeshita with the Raging Fire, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. But Takeshita gained his first 3 points. So basically, on this particular day, everybody involved in the has already had their first matches, and there's already people who gained their first 3 points. So we will see right now who would happen. Will the ones who lost their first round will get their first 3 points, or the ones who already got their 3 points will advance further? We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But as of right now, we are done with our reviews and everything else. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. So welcome to our news update. So let's begin as always with the upcoming events. A majority of it we have is with the GCW stuff. So as you know, recently we'll be entering very soon within the month, of course, to 2026. Some events have been announced involving that. As you know, I mentioned Code of the Street that will take place on the 17th of January in Dallas. 4 names have been announced that would be participating in that particular event. We have Acticus Coger, Matt Tremont, and Priscilla Kelly, and Vengador, which is a name I will mention again. Now, as you know, the following day they'll be making their way to Wichita, Kansas, where they'll be doing Crime Wave. That'll happen on the 18th of January. They announced Shotzi Blackheart, Acticus Coger, YDMP, which is Alec Price and Jordan Oliver, and then finally Effie. And then, of course, on the 31st of January in Philadelphia, they have Crushed Up. They announced Bando 48 with features, of course, Christian Apel and the Koger brothers, Acticus and Otis. We have Matt Tremont, Kroll, uh, Charles Mason, and Effie. Now, I mentioned a name earlier on the Code of the Street. They have a wrestler named Vengador who will be making his schedule with GCW. Now, he will be in LA on the 6th of December during the Highest in the Room. But his 2026 schedule, he'll be participating in Dallas for the Code of the Street, the Wichita event for Crime Wave, and then the Crushed Up in Philadelphia on the 31st of January, and then, of course, on the 1st of February in New York City. So that's pretty much it for the GCW. But we do have a brand new show alert that was made by West Coast Pro called Evil Empire, which is reference to, of course, the Rage Machines album. This will happen on February 27th, 2026 at the Third Dog Compound in Commerce, California. Now, no names have been mentioned yet, but I'm certainly we will be hearing that very soon. Now, for all you Stardom fans, you probably heard that Yuria Hime has been out of action for quite some time due to an injury that forced her to miss out on World Tag League. Well, it was announced that she'll be making her return to Stardom in Hamamatsu on November 30th. So we're looking forward to hear what she's going to do. And then finally, of course, in our development, many of you may have known Kenta Kobashi. Now, there was a question that many people asked. Many of you may not know this. Kenta Kobashi is a wrestling legend coming out of Japan, and many people have often asked why he was not signed with WWE. Well, Jim Ross kind of gave a bit of the reasons. So let me pull it up real quick. I'm not gonna pull out on the speech exactly. Here it is. So of course, it was because at the time, many of you not know this, Jim Ross was the head of talent relations. So yeah, they said that you cannot overlook because of his great talent and all that. But the reasons they never signed them was because some of these established Japanese stars have such deep obligations and deep roots in Japan. It's hard to get many dates of on them, and you can't follow up on television that invests on them, and somewhat of a failed prophecy. So basically, it was impossible. But remember, they brought Shinsuke Nakamura, as you know, and according to what they're saying, they wanted him to still stick with his roots in the Japanese style. So Ross believes that pairing Nakamura and Paul Heyman couldn't have changed everything. But he did say Paul Heyman with anybody makes these somebody simpler. He would have done this occasionally if he would have done the same thing. So yeah, Paul Heyman with a talent, and Paul could have collaborated with Shinsuke, and they could have produced some great results. So yeah, so there was many reasons. I mean, look, guys, when it comes to Japanese wrestlers coming to the states, it's not that simple. I mean, some are still bigger stars in Japan, and it's impossible to leave their places. Despite some people would say they're better off being with a bigger company like WWE. Obviously, that is something we have seen. I mean, look, they got Shinsuke Nakamura involved, and I'm sure there was others they would have wanted, but it did not. But it is what it is. From it is. But yeah. So I think that's pretty much it right now for our news update. So let's just call it a day. I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. As you probably know, I did mention Ring of Honor will be on the following day. Hopefully, I get the chance to see that. I think we do have a New Japan World Tag League event taking place, and I haven't decided if there's anything else, but I'm a bit behind with, of course, Stardom's. Well, what's it? Oh yeah, with their Goddesses Tag League taking place. So we'll see how that rolls up. And I'm a bit behind with the Joshi wrestling event. So I'll see if I can try to catch up as possible. But we'll just wait and see. Until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.